Now I do want to talk about one thing that's a little bit different out here, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all, and it has to do with my choice of bent grass. I went with the T1 bent grass. It's kind of a general all-purpose, not really super specialty. It's used in fairways and tee boxes and greens. It's just kind of a general purpose. One of the problems that I've seen with this, and I dug into this a little bit just to find out a little bit more to make sure it just wasn't me having major issues, but this tends to fatten up, and I don't like it. So the grass blades will get too thick, too wide, and they'll lay over, and they get hard to sort of stand back up, and you have to cut it a bunch of different ways, you know, kind of groom it up to make it stand back up, and that doesn't work for me. So while I am going to recover this for now, what's ticking around in my brain is kill it all, rip basically through everything, sand it again, seed it again with something else with a different variety. So I'm right there right now, just working through what I want to do, because I just feel like this playing surface could be better, and I don't know that I chose the right type of bent grass for what I really wanted. It's time to mow this baby.
Choosing grass seed is so important, and honestly, I don't really do that very often. I thought I knew what I wanted here. I did like the look of this turf originally, but I just noticed that it was having some issues to begin with after the grow in, and now I can identify it a little bit better.
Here's what we pulled out of the first cut. Pretty good amount. Cleaned up a little bit of the stuff from when I did some edging the other day, but now we got to go back through again. You know, one thing about that Hudson Star is it just gives you this sort of classic mowing feeling. It's so smooth, it cuts so well, and you can see just after the first cut what a difference it made. And now I'm going to go down a little bit lower just with the one hand adjustment and cut it again.
This next cut is going through the grain, which makes it a little bit harder to push through, but it needs to be done because the grass will stand back up, and it'll help me when I go through to cut it the third time, because I'll have more of this laid over turf standing up, and it'll be easier to pick up by the blade.
And here's my clippings for cut number 2. Now, you may have noticed that it looked a little more difficult for me to push that direction, and it was because the grass, since it's laying this way, the bed knife is having to push against all the grass growing this way, so it takes a little more effort to mow against the grain, but I'm still getting kind of a lot of grass out of it. So we're gonna cut it one more time right now, then after the rest of the cleanup, I'll do it a final time, just in case I kick any other clippings or anything, I can just scoop them up in here and clean that out. So one more cut.
So now I've gone vertical lines, horizontal lines, and now I'm going diagonal. This is just to pick up any additional turf that could be standing up and get it as short as possible, because now I have the bed knife all the way down and the wheels up.
And there's cut 3. I can just keep getting it out of there. As long as I'm pushing against the grain, making that grass stand back up, I can keep cutting it out and keep cutting it out. So that's all the cuts we're gonna do on it for right now, but we're gonna come back out and do one later, and I'll bet you we get more grass than this.
Check out how this grass is matted down right here, how it's just laying over. Now, it's possible I could probably get that to stand up a little bit more, but anytime I run over the green with my roller on the front of my mower, it just is going to lay it down in whatever direction. So I try to cut it in as many different directions as possible. However, I've noticed that this same type of seed on different golf courses that I've played generates the same type of result. There will be areas where the grass is just laid over, and while you can putt on it, it really isn't the most ideal. So I'm looking at a couple of different seed varieties right now that contain a considerable amount of seed per pound, and just trying to weigh out my choices on what the future is going to hold here, because I'd like to have a super fine texture. I'd like to have really dense and upright growing grass, and I just think that this could be better. Now, remember, growing a green is no joke. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of equipment, a lot of fertilizer, a lot of chemicals, and a lot of patience. So I really do enjoy this, and I enjoy this process, and I'm learning an awful lot, but you can always learn a little bit more. So stay tuned. I have more in-depth things going on this green, and just to show you what I'm trying to do to rehab it right now this summer before I potentially do a full renovation this fall. Who knows?